Welcome to Reshair on ESPN 730. For the next hour, your host, Chris Reshair, will bring fresh air to your financial needs. Excite, educate, and empower you to make sound financial decisions. Chris is a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant with NFM Lending. Originator license number 117266. Now, here's your host, Chris Reshair.
Welcome to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshair, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. As always, I have to get the disclosures out. NFM Lending is an equal housing lender, NMLS license number 117266. So if you have never listened to Reshair Radio, the goal of our show is to excite, educate, and empower Charlotte teens to make sound financial decisions. So how do we do that on the radio, right? Great question. If you haven't listened, you might not know. But really what we do is we bring in area expert contributors, people who are on the show on a regular basis that talk about hot topics. And also we bring in special guests. And by doing so, you, our listener, benefits from hearing about what's going on with the real estate world, how to better understand your homeowner's insurance policy, maybe even how to properly invest in your 401k from our financial sponsor. All those different things are really the goal is to add value back to you. So without further ado, let's get going on introducing our expert contributor and special guest here in the studio this morning. So welcome back to Jay McElveen from Goosehead Insurance.
Great to be back.
Jay's in the house. How's it going this Sunday morning?
It's going great, Chris. Happy
Awesome.
to be here.
Really excited about our topic later on the show. Our last segment of the show, we're really going to be talking about dissecting a homeowner's insurance quote or policy. So I know you're just on the edge of your seat, folks out there, right? But it's actually some really good information. Like Jay, we think we understand our insurance, but in many cases we don't. So looking forward to kind of talking with you about that. So tell us a little bit about Goosehead, how it works, what y'all do over there.
So Goosehead is out of Dallas, Texas. My agency is one I franchised here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my agency is called the McElveen Agency. Goosehead allows me to have a trove of carriers. So I have 25 plus A-rated carriers, AM Best. These carriers allow me to really look at your insurance and give my clients a lot of options versus just giving you one option. And, insurance is a for-profit industry. So as you can tell, your premiums every year are going to rise. Well, when they do rise, and if and when they do, I have the option to requote my client's insurance. So every single year, I requote my client's insurance to make sure we keep those premiums down, keep my clients happy, and give you options.
Perfect. That's great. Awesome. So let's go ahead and introduce our two special guests. We've got Ida Russell here, real estate agent extraordinaire from Costello Real Estate and Investments. Ida, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Mike Troche here back, a repeat offender from NFM Lending. Welcome back, Mike.
Great to be back as always. Thank you.
Perfect. So, Ida, since you are our featured guest today on Reshair Radio, we are going to spend a little bit of time learning a little bit about you and Costello Real Estate and Investments. So I understand that you've been a realtor just under 2 years.
Yes.
And you work on the Bulldog team.
Yes.
You'll have to tell us about what's that Bulldog team mean?
The Bulldog team is a team within Costello Real Estate Investments. We are... Actually, everyone on the team has a dog. That's the first thing
I was just going to say, what about Team Panther? What about Team Panther? But I guess there's no Team Panther, huh?
We all have dogs, and we're also all pretty tenacious like bulldogs.
Got it. Okay, well, that makes sense. And what is your role on the team over there?
I'm the team manager, so I help everyone. I'm a fixer. I try to help solve problems where I can. Make sure that everyone, stays afloat.
It's called the Alpha Dog, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the pack manager.
Cool. Awesome. You're licensed as a realtor in North and South Carolina, so that's pretty cool.
Yes,
So
yes.
you cross over boundary lines there, state lines, and you'll help people, buyers and sellers, I'm assuming.
Yes, both buyers and sellers. I'm specializing more so these days in doing listings, but I also help buyers as well.
Great. Awesome. Mike, we're going to flip the mic back to you, no pun intended. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about you and your experience.
I out of college, I was a licensed stockbroker. I was an investment consultant and also a relationship manager for institutional with money managers. And we moved to Charlotte about 12 years ago now. And when I got here, I needed a change. So I bought a business and did that for 10 years, delivering bread, which, believe it or not, it was a great investment, a great job. But I missed finance. I missed helping people. You're not changing the world, putting a bagel or a loaf of bread on the shelf, unless there's snow coming in the Carolinas.
That's right.
Then you're the most important person. But
That's right.
I just wanted to, I was getting that itch again to work with numbers, and I had refinanced my mortgage with a mortgage company and thought, it was smooth, it was fun. Maybe this is a good way for me to get back into it. And lo and behold, someone got me in contact with you, and the rest is history. Everything's worked out well.
Got it. Yes. So Mike is definitely a rising star at NFM Lending. He's been doing a great job at getting out and marketing yourself and building relationships. So proud to have you on the team for sure. Ida, why don't you tell us how you got started in real estate?
Well, I always wanted to be in real estate. Years ago when I
Starting
was
from the dollhouse age, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I was the whiz at Monopoly. Like I don't everything
Monopoly.
on the board and kill it. And in Michigan, I went to law school, and when I was there, I took a lot of property classes. Property law, land use, property tax, all kinds of things to learn about the
Real
craft
estate.
of land and real estate. And then what happened was after I got out of law school, I ended up not staying in my home state, and I moved. And my husband and I, we moved around a lot. We've lived in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, different areas. And so about 3 years ago, a little bit or less, my husband and I decided, okay, let's go ahead and go for this. You have this passion, you want to do it. Let's go ahead and go for it. So I started taking classes and getting myself ready to work in real estate.
Got it. Cool. So, so now having really been a real estate agent for a few years now, what do you like most about being a realtor? That's the key question.
Well, real estate is very exciting. There's never 2 days that are the same. You talk to different people all the time. You're helping different people. And there's nothing like helping someone to find their dream home or to find a place to live and not just exist. It's a home. It's a place where they can raise their children. They can
It's
have
very
a
personal,
dog. Yeah,
right?
It's very personal. And I love that part of the business.
Great. Sweet. All right. And then let's see here. What's next on our agenda? I think what we really want to do is, Jay, I want to flip the mic back to you for a quick second. Tell us a little bit about what you like most about being in the insurance industry.
The insurance industry.
Besides collecting premiums.
Honestly, when I started out of college, I got into politics, and I found out fast that was it was a small pond with a lot of big sharks, but you did have the chance to help people, but not the way I wanted. So I actually became a financial advisor when I got out of politics, and it still wasn't filling that void for me. I really wanted to get in the property and casualty. Insurance gives me the opportunity to really focus on a small amount of clients. What I mean by that is insurance, of course, you get residual income. So when it comes to a certain point, I'm going to have a certain book where I can really just focus on that client, where I don't need to go after so much more business when it comes to a certain point. So I can really focus on a certain amount of clients and making sure they're all happy. I mean, when I get that chance, when somebody comes to me with their premium and I see they're overpaying, it really is, I enjoy showing them, hey, I can actually save you $500 here. I actually enjoy doing that because the people are like, man, this is such a burden off our shoulders. And then my office does not have an office phone. My office has cell phones. All my agents have cell phones that work for me. The reason is because when you have a claim, most likely it's not going to be from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be 7 a.m. or in the middle of the night. So my clients have my personal cell so they can call me around the clock. And believe me, I have clients call me at 10 o'clock, and that's part of the job. So, but it's really enjoyable to really get to know your clients on a personal level and save them money year after year.
Sweet. I'll tell you the same. I don't think our office has an office phone too. That's how you got to operate that way. If you're in a service industry, you've got to be available on your cell phone for your clients these days.
No, it's true. I was texting a customer back and forth this morning at about 1:30 in the morning. So it is definitely.
Were you up watching football? What were you doing, man?
No, the Eagles were playing last night. I'm a Giants fan, so I was just up working, and I heard the phone go off, and if it goes off, I look to see. It doesn't matter the time, what's going on, and we were back and forth for a good 10 minutes, just back and forth texting. So, to piggyback off of what Jay said, it's a service industry, and like you said, and it's about being available for the client, kind of no matter what. That's really what separates one person from another, or one company from another. So
there you go. So, all right, we're going to flip it back to Ida real quick. Last question before we roll into our next segment. Get us started on how you feel, or what do you think is going on with the housing market? What's your perspective here in the general Charlotte market?
Well, the general Charlotte market is very strong. It's very hot right now. Most houses are going on the market and coming off very quickly. When you go out with your real estate agent, you really need to be ready to move on a house. If you see your dream house, they have a saying, if you sleep on it, you won't sleep in it. So you got to be ready to move. If you sleep on it,
you won't sleep in it. If you see a house that you like today, you got to jump.
Exactly. Multiple offers are pretty common right now, meaning that you and 5, 6, 7, 25 other people want that house. So you have to be ready to move. It also is the same in South Carolina, Fort Mill, Rock Hill, Lancaster. All those places are moving really fast.
Got it. Cool. Well, I would agree with you. Having Mike and I qualifying buyers on a regular basis, our biggest challenge is not necessarily finding clients, although we're always looking, right? Mm-hmm. Oftentimes we're waiting for them to get a house, right? So it may be a matter of months before they're truly ready to purchase. So that is kind of the game that we're in today. So thank you for your perspective on the housing market here today in Charlotte. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, commercial break. We've got a lot more to talk about. Our theme for our upcoming segment is going to be why you should have a buyer's agent when you purchase a home. So in other words, work with a realtor when you buy a home. We're going to give you all the reasons why. So stay tuned to Reshair Radio. We'll be right back. Hi, Chris Reshatar here with NFM Lending and host of Reshair Radio. If you are considering purchasing a home, you may wonder what your financing options are. We offer a variety of loan products to fit your situation, including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, and jumbo loans. Here in the Carolinas, some of the most common loans are FHA and USDA. FHA loans are popular in low-income and first-time buyers due to their less stringent requirements. They also have low down payment requirements and tend to have a lower credit score requirement as well. USDA loans also allow low and moderate income households to purchase homes in an eligible rural area. Home buyers who do not qualify for a conventional loan may be able to purchase a home with USDA. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication throughout the process, call me, Chris Reshatar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO NMLS license number 117266, corporate NMLS license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, and you can apply online at themortgagegenius.com. Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. Just wanted to jump in here, and if you have not been listening or have not listened to our show, the goal of our show is to excite, educate, and empower Charlotteans to make sound financial decisions. And we do that by bringing in expert contributors like Jay McElveen from Goosehead, who is in the house today, and special guest Ida Russell from Costello Real Estate Investments, and Mike Troche, loan officer with NFM Lending. And folks, we were just talking before this break, kind of getting the juices flowing, a little bit about your history, Ida, as a real estate agent, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But we did some preparation for today's recording and show to have our listeners really be able to understand why it's important for them to work with a realtor, or what we also call a buyer's agent, when they purchase a home. A lot of first-time buyers don't really understand the basics or mechanics of residential real estate. And you really felt this was a topic, an important topic for us to explore today. Why did you think this was important for them?
Well, a lot of times, as you said, buyers don't always realize the ins and outs and everything that goes into buying real estate. They think I find a house, I like it, I tell the people I want to buy it, I give them money, and it's mine. And there's so much more that goes into it. Real estate is not simple. For me, having a law background and a law degree, I thought, "Ugh, real estate's so easy." The first house I bought actually happened to be one of those easy sales where I found a house, I liked it, I told them I wanted to buy it, I gave them money, and it was mine. But
It's not usually that way.
it's not at all.
Not at all.
There's so many twists and turns. You know, you have to be an expert negotiator, a contract writer. You got to know all kinds of people in the industry. So there's a lot more to buying a house. It's not that simple.
Perfect. And what are some of the reasons why someone like one of our listeners should use a realtor or what we call buyer's agent when they purchase their home? Let's kind of go through some of those reasons.
Yeah. Well, one of the first reasons is it's one of the largest financial purchases that a person's going to make. This is something where you're going to have a lot of exposure. Many people only buy one home in their lifetime. So this is more than a car. It's usually the value sometimes of 2, 3, 4 cars. So having somebody to have your back when you're making that gigantic financial purchase is something that you definitely want to do.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're going to take the time to borrow a couple $100,000 and buy a house for $250,000 or $500,000, you really should be working with a professional. If you were sued in court, you wouldn't go to court without an attorney to represent you. Why would you buy a home without a realtor to represent your interests? So, all right, let's go to the number 2 reason why you should have a buyer's agent when you purchase a home.
Well, the number 2 reason is something that also a lot of novice buyers don't realize is that a buyer's agent doesn't cost you anything.
What?
Yeah, nothing at all. When you go to buy a property, the person that is selling the property, as part of their contract, they agree to pay their real estate agent a percentage of commission out of the sale. That agent, in turn, agrees to pay half of that commission to an agent who brings a ready, willing, and able buyer.
So essentially what you're saying is the seller pays the commission on the sale of their home to both the agent that's selling the house and then the agent that one of our listeners or buyers would have help them find a home.
Yes, sir.
So they get in your car, spend 2 weekends a row looking for homes with you. You write an offer, you close the transaction, and the seller technically pays your commission.
Yes, sir.
I know it sounds redundant, but I don't know that a lot of listeners do fully understand that, especially if they're a first-time buyer, which really we've sort of themed this message for buyers who maybe haven't done real estate transactions before. So again, it's like going to court with an attorney. That doesn't even cost you anything.
Exactly.
It's even better, right?
Yes.
So, all right, cool. That makes sense. All right, so what would the third reason why you should have a buyer's agent when you purchase a home?
Well, the third reason is that you want to have somebody that has some negotiating skills, and that's there to protect your best interest. You want someone who is able to understand that, you know, you might be able to get a discounted price or exchange, you know, a home warranty added to your policy because maybe the home's older. There's different things that a seasoned buyer's agent can bring to the table to help you get the best deal possible.
Got it. All right. So really at the end of the day, what are some of those components that they need to pay attention to mostly?
Well, contracts are really tricky. A buyer's agent is going to write that contract. That's one of the main reasons that a seller would pay, you know, have that commission in there, because the buyer's agent is the one that's going to write a contract for the house, and it's going to be a contract to purchase. Also, when you have the buyer's agent, they're going to, you know, be licensed. They've gone through training. They understand what they're asking, and they're going to write that contract properly. You don't want to lose your largest financial investment or find out that you didn't get the land or the property was segmented or something strange throughout the process because you didn't use someone who was licensed.
Got it. And is there another consideration we should really factor in?
So also they know the market and they'll be able to negotiate the price. They can see the comps. They know the house down the street sold for this much 6 months ago. The house next door sold or was bought 2 years ago at this price. They can kind of take all of the financial information, mix it together, and use that to help get you the best price.
Yeah, really, at the end of the day, the realtor is going to know what we call the comps or comparable sales
Yes.
to help you really understand the best way to negotiate that house.
Yes.
Right? We're really kind of in what we call a seller's market, right? You said the market was pretty strong here in Charlotte. So if you're not careful and you try to step into a transaction, you could end up overpaying.
Yes.
We're getting burned.
Easily.
Or getting burned or spending a lot of money. Maybe it doesn't appraise, and then you don't have someone helping you navigate those situations. So,
Exactly.
all right, well, let's pop in just before we jump into the next bullet here in terms of why you should have a buyer's agent. Let me reset the show here and just remind people that you're listening to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending here. And you're listening to the show really to learn more about real estate in today's segment. But if you hear anything that is of interest to you and you would like to get additional information from our expert contributor or guests here in the studio, or even myself as your show host, you can call me at 704-277-4463. That number is 704-277-4463. And let me remind you that each and every show is posted on our radio show website. Very simple. It's reshairradio.com. That's R-E-S-H, radio.com, reshairradio.com. So, all right, cool. So let's jump back in and say, let's go into the number 5 reason why you should have a buyer's agent when you purchase a home. Or are we on number 4? I apologize. I think we're on number 4.
Sure. Number 4. So real estate agents really do have access to the most amount of listings in the area. Through our relationships with one another, as you work with other agents in the area, they have what may be called a pocket listing, meaning that someone has a property that hasn't been added to the MLS yet or may be coming available, and through those relationships we may know about them. We also have access to what's called the multi-listing service, which is something that every real estate agent pays to be a part of. And we have access to all of the homes in the market, land, property, any kind of real estate,
really.
Type of real estate. Commercial, they get into a database service, but for homes that people want to live in and land that they may want to build on, we have access to that.
Right. And that's not something that everybody has access to. You can search stuff online, but it's not necessarily going to drive all properties to you. So it may only give you some sectors of the marketplace. But working with a realtor, you can really fine-tune and customize a search and make sure everything that's available in that community or local area is considered.
Yes. Also, I know a lot of people rely on different internet-based sites like Trulia or Zillow, and they have their purpose and they're good for a lot of things.
Sure.
But accuracy is not always one of them. So you don't want to get your heart set on something and be heartbroken.
And find that it's really just a rental, or it was
Yes.
sold 3 months ago.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
it's not a foreclosure.
Or that it's not actually a foreclosure. So, all right, cool. All right, let's move on to number 5. The 5th reason why you should have a buyer's agent when you purchase a home.
And this is probably one of the biggest ones, just like negotiating. Right now, the Charlotte area is in a multiple offer situation. Just about every property that you go to,
There's more than one person bidding
Yeah.
to buy the home.
Yes. And not only is it families, but there's also investors. Sometimes the property is being sought out or looked at by different organizations, nonprofits. So you really are fighting. It's like you against the world, kind of. And if you don't have a buyer's agent, if you're trying to get there, you're by yourself. And that makes it very difficult.
It's you and your agent against the world.
Yes.
Let me correct you
Yes.
there.
Well, if you don't get one, it would be you by yourself.
Well, true, yeah.
So do you
well, hopefully
definitely-
after they listen to the show, they'll understand it doesn't make sense to do so, right?
Yes, yes. You definitely want somebody there.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in here as we've got some key strategies on how to win the bid if for some reason you're putting an offer in, you and your realtor, Ida, that is, when you're putting an offer on a home, we've got some key strategies on really how to get your offer to be considered maybe over other offers. But we really actually are out of time for this segment. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and we're going to be talking about different strategies to win a bid in a multiple bid situation as you work with you and your buyer's agent. So again, you're listening to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call. If it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshatar, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. We've got a special guest here in the studio. I'm just going to jump back in. If you weren't listening and haven't heard our show on the prior segments, we've got Ida Russell here from Costello Real Estate and Investments, and we've been talking about reasons why you should work with a buyer's agent when you purchase a home. And Ida, as we were just wrapping up the last segment, we were talking about really key strategies when you're navigating sort of a multiple bid situation on how to win that bid if you are the buyer and you know that there are other buyers trying to secure the same property. So identify one key area that you think is important to discuss.
Well, one key area that I think that is very important is making sure that you understand the difference between having a cash offer, an FHA offer, a USDA offer, a VA offer, or a conventional loan.
So maybe like the types of financing.
Yes.
Got it. So that's important because why?
Well, if you have a cash offer, those are usually investors. Cash offers are able to close quickly. They don't have any requirements for repairs. The cash buyer can say, I'll accept that leaky sink because I'm an investor and I can throw $3,000 into a new bathroom.
So they have more flexibility.
Yes.
However, not in all cases, but sometimes that cash buyer knows that because it's a quick close and they're going to be less fussy, you might not get the same price.
Yes.
They might not offer you as the seller the same amount on the house.
Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're an individual and you're going maybe with FHA financing, which gives you a lower down payment amount or even a down payment assistance program, then you might want to put more into what's called the earnest money deposit or your due diligence money. So that makes you a little more competitive against somebody who's going to bargain basement you for quick close.
Okay, so really another component is understanding that what you offer up front when you present your offer in terms of earnest money or another element we call due diligence, which is just a fee that the buyer pays the seller to take the house off the market, essentially to do their research. You could be competing with a cash bid, but if you offer a sizable earnest money deposit, even if you're getting financing, the seller might say, you know, we'd rather work with this buyer with financing because they have more skin in the game on the front side.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that's the earnest money and due diligence, which was another key component. What about the price on the home? Is that something that helps you win the bid?
Definitely. With multiple bid situations, sometimes you'll find that the price might, and this would be on a seller side, you might even go a little bit lower than what you're wanting because multiple offers might push it up or even above.
Bid above what you were hoping to get.
Of what you were hoping. And that's something else that might help you win against an investor who says, you know, I'm going to give you cash and we can close in 2 weeks or 2 days or, you know, however quickly they want the property. You may say, well, I can give you a little bit more money. I'll give you more skin in the game by, you know, paying a higher due diligence, higher earnest money. And the due diligence, by the way, gets paid to the seller right as soon as they accept your contract. So if you say, I'm going to give you $1,000 to take this house or $500 to take this house off the market,
that money's
right
gone.
away.
You don't get it back as the buyer. Okay. What about timing of the contract?
So timing is key and important. Again, sometimes it's attractive. If you're trying to move to Hawaii and you need that house to close in 2 days, you know, or 2 weeks or a month, sometimes that's really important. Whereas if you're doing a deal that might have, you might want to support a veteran. You might say, I'm a veteran. I want another veteran to live in my house. You understand that a VA loan may take a little bit longer. It might be 60 days to close instead of 30 or 45.
Right. Really, at the end of the day, a good buyer's agent is going to communicate with the selling party and trying to help understand what's important with the seller's timing. If the buyer has the upper hand, if the seller has the upper hand because it's a seller's market, a good agent's going to try to figure out what those triggers are and then adjust with the buyer, right?
Definitely.
Oh, they need 60 days to move out. Let's do a long closing.
Yeah.
Oh, they want to move as fast as possible. We want to close in 2 weeks. Let's get it going, right?
Yes.
Let's tee up Mike and get things rolling.
And again, just the complexity of
Let's
us
go.
talking about this. If you can imagine, if you're just an individual and you don't have anybody representing you, the likelihood of you navigating this successfully is slim to
Right.
none.
Again, this is all going back to why you should have a buyer's agent, right? A few other key elements that we can hit on is you mentioned that a buyer can personalize their offer. What do you mean by that?
So in this industry, we kind of call them love letters. So when you're competing against multiple people or multiple offers, you may want to write a letter about your family and why this is your dream home, why you want it, why you fell in love, how you came to look at it. I've had that help me successfully win a deal. It's helped me to get a family a home that, could have went to an investor or could have went to, someone else. When you get into a lower price point, you'll find there's more investors. And sometimes that family getting that first home.
The seller wants somebody to love the house just like they have,
Yes.
right? Because we get emotionally attached to our homes.
Yes,
So that can be a meaningful differentiator when you're trying to win that offer.
definitely.
So, cool. So a couple of other things. We talked about cash versus financing, but the other thing would be a lot of times those younger buyers don't have as much money for the down payment and closing costs. And sometimes you have to figure out maybe how to get a gift or scramble a little bit more to save some money for the closing costs and asking for less from the seller to be paid. If they have 6 people trying to buy the house, asking the seller to pay $5,000 towards your costs just might not be feasible. It might make the difference between we're going to accept this offer and we're not going to, versus not. So
One of the great things about this Charlotte region is North Carolina housing and South Carolina housing both have awesome down payment assistance plans.
they do.
They can pay upwards of $6,000 towards closing cost or towards your down payment. Depending on where the house is located, it may be in a USDA zone, which USDA has zero down
No money
payment.
down requirement. That's correct.
So again, this is something that a seasoned buyer's agent should be able to help you with.
Yeah, and if you're going at it alone, you don't necessarily know about all the key programs if you don't get hooked up with the right lender as well. So, which is really the last element I wanted to hit on before we move on to our next topic here. So, lender selection is key, and we have in parentheses here, key meaning that the company that you select and sometimes the individual loan officer can make a difference in helping to win a multiple bid. And since we're on the lender topic, Mike, do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I think,
Without naming banks, of course.
right. I think it's always important to make sure, as a realtor, from a realtor standpoint, is that they have to have the trust in the loan officer, because when they are putting that offer in, they want to know that that particular person is going to be there to get them to the closing table, not just someone found with a very low rate but used to be a refinance shop and it's just not the same. And you want to make sure that you take the time to properly, at minimum, pre-qualify the customer, but also really get them to fully pre-approved, so that when that offer hits the table, it's rock solid. You can have the selling agent let them, they can feel confident in accepting that bid, especially in this market now where there's multiple bids coming in. You want to present that buyer in the best possible light to give them a chance to win that home.
Absolutely. Well, and I think I'll just quickly add and we'll move on, but just really the reputation of lending institutions sort of is, a lot of companies have better reputation than others. Others have worse reputation than others. And
Correct.
The real estate community kind of knows that. They have their pulse on those things. So when your realtor says, hey, I think we ought to get you qualified here with a local lender, I realize you may have called XYZ company, you really should pay attention to that, because it's not just for the convenience of the realtor or you. That same perception may flow into whether you get your offer accepted, because some agents will look at the company name on that pre-qualification letter and say, we're not accepting that offer because I've worked with this particular company and had bad experience. So listen to your realtor, because sometimes it takes a couple of months just to get a house, and the last thing that you want to do is lose it over one of these silly components that you could have adjusted and put yourself in a better situation. So, all right, so we've got through our 5 reasons why a buyer should use a buyer's agent when purchasing a home. We've just got a couple of minutes here before we take our next break. So how does a listener find a good agent, if you could just wrap up real quick in the next couple of minutes?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have 4 great ways, but the first way is ask family and friends. If you're relocating, you might not have that as an option because you don't have family or friends that are in the area. So you could take it a bit further by step 2, Facebook stalking them, looking at reviews, checking them out online. If your friends or family tell you check this person out. You can Facebook stalk someone you're going to date, and you can do it with your realtor. Exactly.
No limits.
Yes, and then finally going to open houses. So you can take that Facebook stalking one step further. You can actually go and meet them. A lot of times agents that work with buyers hold open houses. So it might not necessarily be their listing, but they're there to meet buyers, people who may come in unrepresented to look at a house, and they can help them find houses that are in the area that they would like. And finally, you want to make sure, if you're going to pick a great buyer's agent, one of the key ways that you can know that they're great is they're going to get you pre-qualified. If they get you pre-qualified, then you're going to be looking at houses that you know that you can afford, that you can quickly put in an offer on, and be able to, get that dream home that you want.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we kind of touched on this earlier as we were going through how to win a multiple bid, like choosing your lender is key. But the first key step, even though you usually start with the house, right? Yeah. The first key step is really kind of getting the money in place, getting pre-qualified, and then working toward a pre-approval. Because even just winning that bid may make the difference. If your loan hasn't been through underwriting and approved, may make the difference as to why you don't win that offer. So the approval process is really, really keys. And I put in parentheses, there ain't nobody winning the bid without the financing in place, right? Yes. Proper, not proper grammar, but nonetheless, you get the point. So Ida, real quick, where can our listeners catch up with you in terms of, phone or email, whatever, if they would like to work with you?
Yeah, definitely. My cell phone number, again, I'm available, just like Mike said. My number is 803-228-1457.
Say that one more time. So the phone number one more time.
803-228-1457. And my email is ida@bulldogteamhomes.com.
Ida@bulldogteamhomes.com. Teamhome.com.
Or ida.russell@castellorei.com.
All right, sweet. Well, it's been great having you on the show here today. We're going to take one more quick break, and we're going to feature our expert contributor, Jay McElveen from Goosehead Insurance. Stay tuned. We'll be back for one last segment of Reshair Radio.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home, or buying a new car, or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late, and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com.
Welcome back to Reshair Radio. I'm your show host, Chris Reshair, licensed loan officer with NFM Lending. My license number is 117266, and NFM Lending is an equal housing lender. We like to get that in a few times to make sure everybody knows we're legit. Reshair's been running, I don't know, about 3 years now here in Charlotte, and we bring in special guests and expert contributors to talk about hot topics. And Jay brought a really great theme, in my opinion. It may not sound exciting as you're sitting at home listening, but you know, we talk about insurance, Jay. You work with Goosehead, awesome company. You broker out to all these different companies, and I've seen some amazing premiums and really great service from you and your team. But, you know, we think we understand insurance, but honestly, I don't think the average listener or even customer that we work with understands insurance. So what I wanted you to do is maybe dissect the basic insurance quote for us today, and then let us know what some of the additional considerations would be that really go into what we end up paying on that premium for our homeowner's insurance policy. Whether we're already a homeowner, these are things that you can listen up and maybe get a free quote from Jay here after the show. Or if you're looking at buying a home, things to consider when you go to write that first policy. So dissect it for us, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as you're sitting on the edge of your seat, I'm going to kind of go over a few different coverages with you.
This
to kind
is exciting stuff.
Dissect the policy, because a lot of people don't understand what that coverage is. So when I sit down with a client, I want them to prepare at least 20 minutes to talk to me, because I mean we're insuring
minutes.
Your most important asset. Why are you in debt? It's because you're home. So let's make sure it's covered if something does happen. So
it's called a country boy call. Right?
Exactly. So first off, you have coverage A, which is your dwelling. So dwelling is the coverage for your home and structures attached to your home or property permanently installed in your home. So that's very important you understand what permanently installed means. So that means such things as wall-to-wall carpet, central air conditioner, built-in appliances, and construction
Cabinets.
material.
Yep.
So when you how we determine the dwelling amount is we do replacement cost estimator. So market value and replacement costs have nothing to do with each other. The market is hot here in Charlotte, so your replacement value may be less than what you're going to pay, maybe more. It just depends. But I usually like to have homes at least $130 to $140 per square foot. I'm more comfortable with $150 a square foot, so I usually put an endorsement on the policy that gives my clients 25% additional insured for their dwelling. And what I mean by that is, say your home is insured for $200,000. This endorsement gives you an extra 25% of that dwelling, so you get $250,000 for the dwelling if something were to happen. So,
however, because if you don't have the proper coverage, you might have to end up paying that shortfall of $50,000.
Absolutely.
On that to rebuild later on if you don't have good coverage.
So I'm never going to lower my client's insurance to make something happen or a deal happen, but I have different ways we can talk about to really get those premiums down. And like I said, I work with a lot of carriers to get you where that premium needs to be. So coverage B is other structures. Other structures is primarily, most of the time, it's 10% of the dwelling. So what does other structures covers? Well, you know, it's in the name. So it's going to be anything not connected to the home. So your detached garage, your storage sheds, your swimming pool, your detached fence, anything of that nature. So I like to have, you know, it depends. We're going to have a conversation. If you have nothing attached to the home, well, some carriers require 10%. Some allow me to get it down to 2%, so you can just have a minimum amount if you have nothing else on the property. But that's a conversation we'll have. Next is personal property. That's going to cover the contents of your home. That's going to include furniture, clothing, appliance, even if they're stolen, damaged, or destroyed. So personal property does not include things such as expensive jewelry, does not cover things as expensive furs, paintings, anything that needs to be scheduled on the policy, guns. If you have a big collection of guns, I need to know about those things. Don't think that just because you have $50,000 in guns and you have $150,000 in personal property on your policy, they're going to be covered, because they're not. So that's a huge void in people's policies. They don't understand when their home burns down and their wife's wedding ring is sitting on the counter and they're not able to grab it when they're running out, it's not covered. But people think it is, but it's not unless you tell me. I need to have that conversation. Do you need this scheduled? You know, if you have something that is significant value, we have to have that scheduled on the policy. Loss of use is the next coverage on a homeowner's policy. What that means, that's going to pay for additional living expenses if your home is too damaged to live in during repairs. So usually that's also going to be a percentage of the dwelling, and we can go over that, but usually that's not going to be changed. That does give a significant value, and that pays for meals. If you're going to stay in an apartment or you're going to stay in a hotel room for 6 months. So that'll pay for things of that nature.
Got it.
Personal liability protects you against financial loss if you're sued or found legally responsible for someone else's.
Are we on E?
Yeah, we're on E.
All right.
So that's personal liability, and that's going to protect you against financial loss if you are sued or found legally responsible for someone else's injury or property damage. So let's say that your kid has a birthday party at your home. Somebody does get injured. Well, I max out personal liability 99% of the time with my clients. So that means it's $500,000 on 99.9% of the policies I write. The next level down is $300,000, and from there it's $100,000. But the differences in premium are literally $3 to $4 a year just to move up from $300,000 to $500,000. So it's really a no-brainer. So usually I don't even give the client an option. I say we're going to go with $500,000 because you'll thank me one day if you do have something like that for $2 extra a year.
Makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So medical payments covers medical bills for people hurt on your property. Usually I max that out as well, and that goes to $5,000 for medical pay. So that's kind of self-explanatory.
Hey, Jay, quick question. In terms of covering people for things like those catastrophic items you just spoke about, can you explain a little bit? A lot of people have confusion with that and having an umbrella policy also. I have a lot of people ask me, and I'm like, well, this is why I have it, but if you can just touch on it really quickly.
Absolutely. So when you have an umbrella policy, that's going to give you an additional amount of insurance. So let's say that you have a $700,000 home, okay, and you have a $700,000 home, yet
it's just really, Mike, at the bottom line is your regular coverage is going to cover what is specified in your policy. The umbrella policy is going to add on top of that.
Right. So if
you have a shortfall, it steps in and covers that shortfall.
If you have $1 million home, yet you only have $500,000 in personal liability, that is a $500,000 gap in insurance. So therefore, I'm gonna say, hey, I'm gonna propose, let's do a $1 million umbrella policy. $1 million umbrella policies cost anywhere from $150 to $250 a year. Very affordable, and just gives you a little bit extra comfort there. I usually say the more insurance you can buy, the better, but I'm biased because I'm an insurance agent. But at the same time, for $250,000 a year, I want another. I have a $2 million policy myself. I don't need that much, but at the same time, you never know. So when people, when people get in a car accident, I mean, if they have minimum limits, you can't even qualify for an umbrella. Right. But at the same time, say that I have $250, $500, I qualify for an umbrella. But medical bills these days, if somebody's in the hospital a month, you're looking at $1 million.
Easy.
So
scary.
So and then you go into like scheduling. Like I said, you got to schedule things of significant value.
So now you're talking about the diamond ring, the artwork, the guns.
Right.
So this is going to be separate from a standard policy.
Right. This is completely separate. So when you have your personal property, I don't care if you have $1 million in personal property, it still does not cover those guns or those furs or those paintings or those items of significant value, such as your jewelry, your wife's wedding ring. I have my watch. I have my wedding ring. My wedding ring is very cheap. My wife's is, of course, more, but I have all of it scheduled on there just in case something does happen. Because like I said, it is not covered under personal property. So people really need to make sure. A lot of agents don't discuss that with their clients. The client sees the bottom of the quote and they look at the premium, says the premium looks good, let's bind the policy. And that's where errors and omissions claims arise, because the client will say, well, we never went over that. And most insurance agents don't. They don't discuss it. They just want to sell the policy. Well, honestly, sometimes our premiums can be more, but we're taking into effect the items you asked scheduled versus another agent who did not ask to be scheduled.
Right.
So that's very, very important. Another piece of advice is on your insurance policy, make sure you have personal property replacement costs versus actual cash value on your personal property. What personal property replacement cost covers is it pays the replacement or repair cost without any deduction for depreciation. So it takes away depreciation.
Perfect. You mentioned briefly about deductibles. Is there anything we need to touch on there?
Absolutely. So when you have an AOP deductible, AOP means all other perils. So, and then you have a wind hail deductible on your policy. And if we're in a coastal region, you would have a hurricane deductible. But since we're not, we have a wind hail. So you have usually a $1,000 deductible for your AOP. That's what I usually propose to all my clients is $1,000. So they can go up to $5,000 depending on your lender if they'll allow that. The higher your deductible, the less the cost. The lower your deductible, the more the cost. So it's kind of self-explanatory there. For wind hail, deductibles can be a number, so they can be $1,000, or they can be a percentage. A percentage, if it was a 2% deductible, means that it would be so it'd be 2% of coverage A, meaning the dwelling. So if you have a $200,000 dwelling, then you have a 2% wind hail. That means it's 2%.
If something happens, you're going to pay $4,000 out of your pocket.
Exactly, you're paying $4,000 out of your pocket. So and then if it was a $10,000 roof, you're paying a $4,000 deductible. So just make sure you understand the difference between wind, hail, all other perils, and a hurricane deductible.
Perfect. I think really the good news is Jay is available to answer all your questions when it comes to your homeowner's insurance needs. And you've talked about some really great stuff today. Jay, how can our listeners get a hold of you?
You can reach me on my personal cell phone at 704-453-0456, or you can always shoot me an email. My email is jay.mcelv as in Victor, EEN @goosehead.com.
One more time on the phone number.
Yep, 704-453-0456.
Awesome. Jay, as always, we appreciate your sponsorship of Reshair Radio.
It's
hopefully
always a
we
pleasure.
Continue to we send you all our business because you guys do a great job. So hopefully
greatly appreciate
that'll
it.
keep coming. So
Absolutely.
Ida, Mike, Jay, it's been great having you on Reshair Radio. We'll have you back again in the future. All of you listeners, if you need any of our services, give me a shout at 704-277-4463, 704-277-4463. Thank you, and have a great week. We'll be back next Sunday on ESPN 730 at 10 o'clock. See you next week, folks. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Hi, this is Chris Reshatar, host of Reshair Radio and loan officer with NFM Lending. Is home buying in your future? Buying a home is one of the most significant financial decisions you will make in your life. Each step in the process is important to ensure a smooth transaction. But the most important step, even before you look at houses or call a realtor, is to get pre-approved. A pre-approval is when a lender evaluates a loan applicant's eligibility for a home loan. A loan officer collects information such as their employment, income, assets, and current expenses. The lender then gives the applicant an idea as to whether or not they could afford a home loan or an approximate amount of loan they could qualify for. If you're looking for platinum level service and open communication through the loan process, call me, Chris Reshatar, at 704-277-4463. That is 704-277-4463. LO license number 117266, corporate license number 2893. Go to nfmlending.com for licensing information, or you can apply online today at themortgagegenius.com. Hey, Chris Reshatar here with NFM Lending. Are you still sitting on a high interest rate mortgage loan? Are you thinking about consolidating, paying off some of those credit card debts, or maybe doing some home improvement? Now's the time to call because interest rates are still at a 40-year low. My number is 704-277-4463. That's 704-277-4463. I can also be found at themortgagegenius.com. Movement Mortgage is an equal housing lender and MLS license number 117266.
Hi, this is Preston Sandlin with Home Inspection Carolina. We do home inspections, termite inspections, radon testing, any of your inspection needs. One thing that we do a little different, we fix the small stuff instead of putting it on the report. So if you need a home inspection, termite inspection, radon testing, please give us a call. If it's a home inspection or a pre-inspection, 704-542-6575, or check out our website at homeinspectioncarolina.com.
Did you know it has been reported that an estimated 80% of Americans have credit inaccuracies on their credit reports? Most people that have either inaccuracies or existing items that can be negotiated or adjusted do not know what their best score could be until they have found a new home, or buying a new car, or applying for a credit card. Then it's too late, and they have to accept a higher interest rate or lose the opportunity altogether. The time to work on improving your credit score is before you need it. Whether you have a 440, 640, or even a 740 FICO score, there is always room for improvement. The National Credit Care Team is comprised of individuals dedicated to helping the millions of consumers plagued by credit inaccuracies, errors, and fraud. It is our mission to help inform consumers and alleviate the stress of working with creditors and credit bureaus. Together, we can maximize your scores to get the best interest rates possible and save you money. Call now, 303-747-6390. That's 303-747-6390. Or visit us at www.nationalcreditcare.com. You've been listening to Reshair with Chris Reshatar, a seasoned licensed mortgage consultant, originator license number 117266. Learn more online at themortgagegenius.com.
The preceding commercial program was sponsored and paid for by the hosts of this program, Charlotte, North Carolina, which is solely responsible for its content.